No, thank you. So we're at the overall, we're at the cusp of science, a change in science. This has happened in our past, that science has changed. It goes all the way back to leeches. Now leeches are still used. But there's two major medical procedures that have changed. One of them wasn't too long ago. Trepanation is where you drill a hole in the skull. And then there's another one called a lobotomy, right? A lobotomy invented that, a Portuguese neurologist invented that procedure in 1935. A year later it was brought to the US, and Dr. Freeman used an actual ice pick that you would hammer through the corner of an eye socket using a mallet. He'd jiggle it in a really unscientific manner, and patients weren't even anesthetized at the time. The last time that ice pick lobotomy was used was 1967. I was 6 years old. Drugs took the place of the necessity of doing the trepanation and the lobotomies. Drugs that helped relieve the conditions of the patients. Think of fluoride toothpaste as an advancement that may no longer require the fluoridation of water. Now, I'm going to quickly go over our priorities. Fluoridation is not listed in our priorities. I agree with that. So what is our top priority as city councilors, elected officials? The safety of the public. If the public's at risk, or even a segment of the public, in this case children, then we should address the issue. It rises to a priority. This federal court ruling was just a mere 8 days ago. We've heard ad nauseum about the amount of time used to research the topic, years. Now a court decision has been rendered. We might disagree with the ruling, however, we should not ignore it. We also don't have months or years to research the same issue. And then do what? Continue with what we're doing to the residents and the public unnecessarily? Is that, I think Councilman Kramer alluded to this, is this being a good steward of our community's resources? Our risk to children's health, the financial risk, the focus on priorities, our time, all of those are resources that have to be carefully managed. The fluoride is indeed a naturally occurring substance. It's a chemical ion of fluorine. Soil, water, and rocks contain 0.05 of this ion. Remember, we're dosing at 0.7. So 0.05 is a fraction of 0.7. The court stated the order does not dictate how the EPA must respond, but states that one thing the EPA cannot do, however, in the face of this court's findings, is to ignore the risk. So here's the court, federal court had a ruling directing the government agency, you can't ignore the risk. So what is our responsibility? What is our responsibility? And for those that are in the public and listening, you want to research this. It's the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, Food and Water Watch versus the EPA, number 3:17-CV-02162-EMC. And there was a bench trial in 2020. The court had an abeyance to wait for a final national toxicology program, monograph, and that was issued in August of 24, just a month or so ago. And the plaintiffs established by a preponderance of the evidence that the levels of fluoride typical in drinking water, it just happens to match what we do, considered optimal, poses an unreasonable risk. There's the key words, unreasonable risk. Fluoride is available by other means. We are not This is not on the agenda. We can't vote. Madam Mayor, my ask is to check for a consensus, directing the city manager and city attorney to identify if pausing or suspending the fluoridation of city water is within the authority of this city council. If suspending fluoridation is within the authority of this council, the direction is to do so until further action is directed.
Thank you. Start with Councilmember Kramer.